I got the moves. I got the moves. I'm making moves. You gotta move. You gotta make the city move. Like, whoa. I make the city move. I got the move.
One common video that I've seen flying around YouTube recently is NBA players with the most to prove next season, or players that have had a lot of pressure on them entering this season. Today, I'm going to be having a turn at this video and looking at 5 NBA players with the most to prove this upcoming season. Before we start, some of the obvious players aren't on here as I don't want to be too repetitive, so hopefully you guys see some players on here you haven't seen in other videos. Anyway, if you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more NBA content. But with that being said, let's get right into this top 5. Just before we actually get into this video, let's talk about an honorable mention who just didn't make the cut for the top 5, Jason Tatum. Now, I didn't put Tatum on here as I felt like he isn't under too much pressure compared to some of these other players on here. He is still very young and has a whole lot of potential. But I do believe he has a fair bit to prove next season. This past season was arguably a step down by Tatum compared to his rookie year. He did average a couple more points, but did it extremely inefficiently, only 45% from the field and 37% from 3. Compared to his rookie season, he shot 2% worse from the field and 6% worse from 3. Again, I get he's still young, I get like players his age can have a down year or a sophomore slump, but Tatum was continuously chucking up bad shots last season it seemed, and I don't know, he just didn't have the same impact as he did in his rookie year, it seemed to me. I hope he can improve next season because I really like Tatum. He's one of the best young guys in the comp, but he does need to step up a bit if he wants to become the all-star his rookie season promised. But I won't go in too much more depth here. Tatum is just a mention, and again, isn't under any form of pressure compared to these other guys. So, with that being said, let's for real get right into this top 5. Number 5, Lonzo Ball. Coming out of his one and done season at UCLA, Lonzo Ball had a lot of hype around him. Maybe it was mainly due to his father's antics, but we all know that Lonzo and his family promised an all-star and potential NBA legend, but so far during his NBA career, we've seen nothing close to that. Lonzo has had an all-around average career, averaging only 10 points and 6 assists so far. Last season, his impact on the Lakers was reduced quite a bit. His assists per game and shots per game went down a substantial amount. It probably had something to do with LeBron, which is fair enough, but Lonzo just isn't producing anywhere near the amount he was hyped up to do. He's recently been traded to New Orleans, a new, fresh place for Lonzo, and here, Zoe is going to get a big opportunity. Out of the spotlight of LA, surrounded by a lot of other young guys, Lonzo has the potential to break out next season, but the pressure on him is still immense. Though this isn't talked about nearly as much as it would have been had he still been in LA, Lonzo still does have some pressure on him to succeed next season. If Lonzo's numbers don't improve by any significant amount during next season, I think a lot of people would call it fair to name him a bust. Some people in the NBA community have been trying to hold that off, including myself, saying he's still young, it's only been 2 seasons, he played behind LeBron, etc. But now that Lonzo is in this new greater role in New Orleans with no spotlight, if he doesn't show any signs of improvement across the board, the word bust may be attached to his name for a while, until he becomes an all-star. That's the unfortunate reality for Lonzo Ball right now. LeVar Ball hyped his son up so much and the crowd believed it. Now, the pressure on Lonzo is worse than ever before because of it, and if he continues to flatline, a lot of people may give up on him and his apparent all-star potential. Number 4, Kyrie Irving. After a terrible last season, the pressure on Kyrie to perform is higher than ever. It was high when he asked to get out of Cleveland so he could lead a team. He went to Boston, and as we saw in the 2018-19 season, he failed to do so, making promises he couldn't keep and destroying the locker room morale for the Boston Celtics. It was overall a disappointing year for him. And now, as he leaves Boston for Brooklyn to pair up with KD, he has a lot to prove. First of all, can he do a good job at leading this young Brooklyn team? Durant is gone for pretty much the whole season, probably all of it if we're being realistic, and this means for the next year, Kyrie will be the leader of the Brooklyn Nets. He needs to prove to everyone that Boston was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. He needs to make sure it won't happen again. And I would say that he needs to prove he is a capable winner by himself. But at this stage, I don't think anyone is expecting a championship run off of him by himself. But he needs to, at the very least, prove he's a good leader and probably attempt to get a top 4 seed next season. But as I mentioned, the pressure on him is not about wins or stats. It's about if he can become a good leader for the Brooklyn Nets' young core. Number 3. Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is probably the biggest young player disappointment in the league aside from Lonzo Ball. After having a brilliant third year where he averaged nearly 24 points and showed flashes of superstar talent, Wiggins has completely dropped off and now flatlined as he enters his 6th NBA season. It all started after Butler was traded to the Wolves, where he seemingly destroyed the morale of the young players on the squad. Wiggins has never recovered from this, averaging a poor 18 points on inefficient shooting ever since Butler was traded to Philadelphia. Wiggins does not have a lot of time left to be an all-star, according to many. If he doesn't take the next step this upcoming season, he may be one of the biggest busts in recent memory. He was hyped up to be the next Kobe, to be the game's next elite scorer, but over the last couple of years has failed to live up to that potential. Maybe the expectations for him were too high, but again, he has shown us he was capable in the past. If he fails to average a good 22 points on efficient shooting, then he is certainly going to be called a bust by most of the NBA community, if he isn't that already. I really hope Wiggins finds a way to succeed. He's one of my favourite young guys in the game, but right now, it's looking a bit unlikely. And due to his high expectations coming into the draft and the fact he's failed to live up to them, the pressure is huge for Wiggins this season. If he doesn't become an all-star caliber player soon, Wiggins may be looked upon as a bust of the modern era. Number 2. Isaiah Thomas. It's been a rough few years for Isaiah Thomas. After playing his heart out for an organization he loved in the Boston Celtics, IT was betrayed by the Celtics and sent to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a blockbuster deal for Kyrie Irving. After this, Thomas was never the same. He's bounced around the league and is joining his 4th team in 3 years in the Washington Wizards, where he's hopefully going to get a lot of minutes or a good role at the very least. On the Nuggets, Thomas barely played and many seem to forget he was even a part of their roster. But with Washington, I'm expecting good things from Thomas. With John Wall reportedly gone for another year, this creates a big opportunity for Isaiah Thomas as he could potentially become a starter for the Wizards during the season. If he can still play at a decent level, not an all-star or anything, but a solid player nonetheless, Isaiah Thomas could end up being one of the breakout players this year, if he makes the most of the opportunity in front of him. Unfortunately, this scenario has the potential to go badly as well. If Isaiah Thomas plays terribly again and can't find his footing on Washington, that may be it for his career. It's only a 1-year contract. If he doesn't play well, the Wizards can let him go once the year is done, and after multiple poor years, Thomas may be unwanted in the league. He's aging and it will be clear he's not the same guy anymore. The pressure on Isaiah Thomas is enormous this season. If Thomas doesn't make the most of his opportunity here in Washington and play at a respectable level, that may be it for his career in the NBA. Number 1. Markelle Fultz. And the final guy on this list is Markelle Fultz. As the number 1 pick of the 2017 NBA draft, there was obviously going to be a lot of high expectations for Fultz, but due to a bunch of weird injuries and unknowns, Fultz has never even come close to living up to his potential. This has in turn caused him to have a lot of weight on his shoulders, and for many NBA fans, this season could be the last straw. Reports are out there stating that Fultz is pretty much fully healthy and on his new team in Orlando could have a breakout year finally. But the pressure is on Fultz here, because if he doesn't, he's pretty much a certified bust. And it won't be his fault, I know, it'll be due to his injuries, but if he doesn't have a respectable season this year, that could be it for him. Who knows if any team would want to take a risk on him? Who knows if he could ever live up to the hype? This is a big season for Fultz. If he truly is fully healthy and is given good minutes, he needs to step up his game and play at a good level. He needs to somewhat break out. If he doesn't, his career may never recover. But that will conclude the top 5. What do you guys think of this list? Who would you add on here? I know there's a lot, I just tried to cover players who I haven't seen being discussed before in these types of videos, so let me know your thoughts on it below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe, but with that being said, I am out. Peace.